Have you ever just totally felt like rebelling against everything that you know spiritually, or that really seem to be key in changing your life for the better and seems like the highest wisdom? And then, like, you know, everything kind of comes crashing down. You feel really crappy and you're like, oh, this was so awful and whatever. And we get confused with the emotions of doubt, and we think that there's actually something there to doubt. Like this whole enlightenment, this whole non-duality stuff, it doesn't work. As if there's actually something really there to be doubted. And there isn't. Doubt is awesome, because without doubt, how would we know that a lot of what we're believing really isn't the case? Like, yeah. It's awesome. So, I, a long time ago, found this gravestone, and it was this young man who was African American, who was probably the only one who was buried in the cemetery. And they gave him a really nice stone, and it said underneath his name, "The War of the Rebellion freed the slaves." And I was so struck by that. It seemed so insightful, and like within the war of our own minds, it is so absolutely true. The things that we want and are willing to suffer for, the South's desire for freedom, is what actually freed the ones that they were truly enslaving. Like, holy cow. Well, without ideas of separation of North and South and black and white, slave and slave owner, this is going on in our own psyche. And so often it's when we are ready to throw out our religion, or throw out our atheism, or throw out these ideas about non-duality, that we are freed. And not just the self that's trying to free itself, but the greater whole is free. And liberation is never ever for you. There's no separate self that ever gets liberated. It all works out for the whole so freaking beautifully. It's the most primal desire. And all desires bring us back to that. So here's just a few examples of how I've seen this play out. So it seemed to me like rebellion to really write out my thoughts, really journal. It was like, man, this is a party for my thoughts. I'm not supposed to be indulging these things. What am I doing? And yet, writing it out was exactly no thought or alignment or expressing it. Because when you're thinking, you can only think one thought at a time, and when you're writing this is actually the case. And yet there's this sort of like hazy fog we find when we're suffering. It seems as if there's a whole lot of thoughts going on at once, and they're all like at war with each other. And so when we sit down and we write them out, and if you cannot write, the other way to do this is to speak it. And if you cannot speak, if you're in a group of people and for some reason you cannot speak, just like you have a third eye that can imagine anything that's not in front of your physical eyes, you can speak it in your mind. You have a third tongue or a third ear, as weird as that sounds. So it's a lot of people get frustrated with the no thought or letting go of thought. But there's really nothing to hold on to and no one who can hold on to it anyway. And so the liberation is actual and not something that actually needs to happen, but already is. And so rebellion, absolute rebellion. I'm not taking this anymore. I am done with suffering. I want more than this. And total surrender. I am done. I give up. This is it. It is not two different things. And in that is love, is oneness, is bliss, is freedom. Unfettered.